Hi everyone, welcome once again to A.O.S. Abroad. Thank you very, very much for joining this wonderful session. I really do appreciate once again for having every one of you on the live session. And today, just like for our clientele, mostly we always have live sessions where we talk about trending topics and opportunities that are on the Canadian immigration landscape. We also share some of the news and articles that we feel that you should also know about, how you can actually take advantage of the current travel opportunities that are abound in a country like Canada. We also kind of answer questions that you might have concerning your own Canadian immigration processing. So please don't forget, just like the way we do it, once you join, let us know your name and let us know your location. So I, for instance, I am Aziz Shudiru from Ontario, Canada. So let us know where you are joining us from. Let us know your location. Before we start, I would really like to appreciate every single one of you again. Based on the demise of my mother, I see a lot of people actually sent wonderful messages. You also sent your condolences. A lot of people shared positive prayers and you understand, kind of consoling me. Really do appreciate. I thank you very much. I don't take it for granted. Um, Also, I appreciate that you give me time to actually mourn and to get prepared again once more to serve you. Thank you very much, everyone, to our clientele. And those that are also in the general public, I also saw a lot of messages that were shared on our social media platforms. I saw a lot of people actually respond to the comments and responded to many of the things that related to the post that was shared. So really do appreciate you. Thank you very much once again. So today we want to actually talk about the episode 51, which is the three Francophone permanent residency pathways and the regions where or the regions that are quite open to the Francophone PL pathways. So this is going to talk about one more step towards your Canadian immigration. And on this live session, we are also going to be taking, or we'll be talking about the article, or we'll be making use of the article that we have today. So if you are on the live, if you want to also listen, or rather you want to also read the article simultaneously as we are talking, you can also go on that link that was shared with you right now, the cicnews.com website. For those that are on Instagram, you know that and you can see us as well that we are actually sharing a live what do you call it, newsletter article, or rather an article on the CIC news from the cicnews.com website. CIC News is the Canadian Immigration and Citizenship News.com website. And, many times we always try to make use of that website to talk about trending topics and things you need to know about Canada as regards the news that are coming up right now. So today it's not going to be different. We are going to be talking about the three regions that have announced their details, or they have announced details on the what on new francophone pathway to permanent residency. Now, a lot of people have been always reaching out that, oh, the rural areas in Canada, they also need immigrants. Their cutoffs or their eligibility criteria are not that much as compared to express entry. Some people have been saying yes, they have low CRS score or low IELTS score rather, that they are actually inviting, or you understand, the pathways are much more promising. So basically today we want to discuss about these pathways. The pathway of those that are French speakers, because yes, they talk about it being being the francophone pathway, but don't forget that Canada, when they are talking about francophones in Canada, they don't just mean those that are citizens of a particular country. You understand? Because of course, some of you may think that francophone countries are countries like Benin Republic, countries like Togo, countries like Mali, countries like Senegal, even France, you understand, Belgium, and places like that. Yes, that's right. But even if you are not from those countries, you can also still get selected for Canadian immigration, you understand, under these francophone pathways. Because what do Canada really consider those that are francophones? And that's why sometimes when I talk about francophone pathways, I also make mention of the fact that you can also be a francophile and still fall under the francophones. What is the francophiles? Francophiles basically are those that learn French, those that have the French language proficiency, those that actually make use of the French language. So if you are a francophile, if you are a French speaker, you are a French learner, you are also a French native, you can also get to benefit from the advantages of being, you understand, being in or making get the advantage of actually processing your Canadian immigration by virtue of the French that you actually speak. So today we are going to talk about the three regions that have announced their own details about francophone pathway to permanent residence. And just like I've said earlier, I said when they say francophone, it doesn't only mean people that are citizens of one particular French country, French speaking country. It means everyone that can speak French, everyone that want to come into Canada and make use of their French proficiency skills. So today's article is by Janice Rodriguez from CICnews.com, and this article was published on July 19, 2025. So it's a recent article. And three regions, as they say, three regions in Canada have revealed more details about a new pathway to permanent residency for French speakers. Now, note the word French speakers. Just like I said, this is not only centered on those that can only speak that are from one particular country. It's not just like the article said, francophone pathway. Even the name of the pathway, the name of the program, you understand, it writes Francophone Community Immigration Pilot, FCIP. But don't just think that it doesn't pertain to you. Don't just think you can't benefit from it because they're just talking about francophones. No, they are talking about francophones, but you that can also speak, you understand, French, you that can also have the French language proficiency, you can also benefit from this particular program, right? Now let's move on. Since we have said that, since we have analyzed, we have explained what that means, let's now go into what they actually said in the article. Now, they said the following regions have announced details about their streams of the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot, the FCIP. Number one region is the Acadian Peninsula in New Brunswick. Now, this is one particular region that I've given more details about who can they actually invite under their own pathway for permanent residence. Number two is Saint Pierre Jolies. Saint Pierre Jolies, Manitoba, another region in Manitoba that actually requires people to come into Canada and become permanent residents in their region. Number three is Kelowna, British Columbia. This is another region in British Columbia that is actually requiring to have people become permanent residents in there. Whether you are in Canada already or you are still outside of Canada and you want to become a permanent resident, in other words, you want to stay in Canada permanently. You don't just want to visit Canada. You don't just want to study in Canada. You don't just want to work in Canada, but you want to have the opportunity to stay here permanently. You want to have the opportunity. Oh, thank you, doing very much. Thank you for your like on TikTok. Really appreciate. So you don't just want to stay here. You don't just want to come here, come here. When you visit, at most you have 6 months of staying in Canada. After that 6 months, legally you have to leave the country. You understand? Unless you become an illegal immigrant. You understand? Or an illegal alien. Number two, as a student, after you have studied for a year or two, you understand? At the end of your program, at least or at most, you stay here for 3 months after. After then, you still have to leave the country if you don't get another, you understand, visa. If you come here as a temporary foreign worker, and maybe for instance you have 1 year contract or 2 year contract, at the end of the day, you have to leave the country after your contract expires. Except, of course, if you have gotten another visa or you have actually switched your status from one particular status to another. But the basic use case is that after you are done with what you want to do in Canada, you have to leave the country. The only visa that allows you to stay here permanently, the only visa that allows you to be here indefinitely, just like in the UK when they say indefinite leave to remain, abi, the ILR, indefinite leave to remain that you get, and in US that you get the green card that allows you to stay there permanently. Likewise, in Canada you have the PR, the permanent resident card that allows you to stay here what permanently. Right now, the FCIP, just like I said, it stands for the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot, FCIP. It said, which was launched earlier this year of 2025, is an employer-focused program. It is what? An employer-focused program. Now, many a times we see a lot of things on social media. Many a times people reach out to me and say, there's one new program that Canada has opened. Me, I'm not talking about it. Oh, okay, there's one new program that, what they call it now? A lot of people are saying, I don't need to go and write IELTS or have band 8 for or band 9 for. I don't need to, you understand, max out my French. And I say, yes. The truth is, there are new programs, there are new things coming up. But do you know the terms and conditions? Do you know the eligibility criteria? Do you know the qualifications that you need to have to actually qualify for these programs? And just like they said in this, now they said this is an employer focused program. When they say something is an employer focused program, that means the employer is really the major person. The employer is really the major factor that is going to actually provide you with the opportunity to, you understand, actually get to be much more eligible for that pathway. And that is why many of those programs, for instance, we at A.O.S Abroad, we don't really focus so much on them. Why? Because to get jobs or to have an employer that would be willing to sponsor you may quite be challenging for a lot of people. And that's why I do like focusing on programs that we can control, or programs that we know that the focus is on us, we that are the immigrants, not the focus being on maybe employers or, you understand, other people. What do I mean by that? Express entry, provincial nominee program, Quebec skilled worker program, and many of those programs, they require you that you are the immigrant, you that you are the applicant, to focus on actually getting some documentations, to focus on actually becoming much more skilled, to focus on you having some educational credentials, to focus on you actually getting some language test results. You understand? So you are the major person that you are the focus in those programs. But this particular new program, the FCIP, the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot, is a program that is focused on the what? On the employer. And what does that mean? It means that the French-speaking foreign nationals who have an offer of employment in a community outside of Quebec can get permanent residence through the pilot program, provided they meet other criteria. Now look at that. They are telling you that the major criteria you need to follow, the major criteria which you need to have, just like the rural community immigration pilot, is that you have to have a job offer. You have to have an employment offer. You understand? Outside of the province of Quebec. And not only outside of the province of Quebec, but in these particular regions, in the Acadian Peninsula in New Brunswick, or the St. Pierre-Jolies region in Manitoba, or in Kelowna region in British Columbia. You understand? For these ones that we know, though there are still other regions, but if, for instance, maybe in British Columbia, you go and get your own job offer in Vancouver, which is the capital, you may not be qualified for this program because the region that supports this new program, this new employers focus program, is not for people that are in the capital city of the what? Of the province. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So basically what it just means is that this program has a focus on helping those who have job offers. If you don't have job offers, you can't qualify. And he said there are 6 communities that have been selected to participate in the FCIP. Just 6 communities. When it comes to provincial nominee programs, PNPs, we have 11 provinces. And you understand, visit or you can relocate to any of the regions in all those 11 provinces. You understand? But for this one now, it is focused on just 6 communities. So that's one limitation on its own. But let's look at what they say. Acadian Peninsula, number 1, which is the first region. that they are talking about. For the first region, what are they saying? They are saying that this seaside community, that means it's very close to the sea, you understand, in New Brunswick. They said this seaside community located in New Brunswick has reviewed its priority sectors, occupations, and designated employers for the FCIP. Now look at this. This is very, very important. They said priority sector. So you cannot just even get a job anyhow. You have to get a job in the sector that they prioritize. If you get a job in a sector that they don't prioritize, you are still not going to be qualified for the program. What are examples of this priority sector? Is the business, finance, and administration sector. In other words, one of the occupations you must have in this sector is being an accounting technician or a bookkeeper with NOC 12200, or be an administrative assistant with NOC 13110, or be in the banking, insurance, and other financial clerks with NOC 14201, or be a financial advisor with NOC 11102. You must get a job, or you understand? Or okay, there's another sector now. There's another sector. One of the other priority sector is the healthcare. Of course, healthcare will always be in many of those sectors, many of those programs. Now, you can also be a nurse aide or orderlies and patient service associates with NOC 33102, or be in the occupation of other assisting occupations in support of health services, NOC 33109, or be a pharmacy technical assistant or pharmacy assistant with NOC 33103, or be a registered nurse and registered psychiatric nurse with NOC 31301. Now, if you are not in the administration, if you are not in the health, you can also be in education, law, and social, community, and government services. In other words, you can be an early childhood educator or assistant with NOC 42202, or you can get a job as a business development officer and market researcher and analyst with NOC 41402, or get a job as an elementary school and kindergarten teacher with NOC 41221, or a secondary school teacher with NOC 41220, or get a job as a social and community service worker with NOC 42201, or as a cashier with NOC 65100. Now, if you are not in the education, you are not in the healthcare or in the, you understand, administration, you can be into sales and services. You understand? So in other words, if you get a job as a cook with NOC 63200, you qualify. If you get a job as a food counter attendant or as a kitchen helper or related support occupation, you understand, with NOC 65201, you can qualify. If you get a job as a retail salesperson and visual merchandiser with NOC 6411100, you qualify for that. If you get a job as a sales and account representative, or you understand, as an wholesale trade non-technical staff, technical staff with NOC 64100, you qualify. Or you get a job as a carpenter with NOC 72310, you also qualify. Do you understand? Now, lastly, if you are into the other priority sector, in the trades, in the transport, in machinery and related fields, maybe for instance, you are a construction trade helper or you are a laborer with NOC 75110, or you are an electrician, except being an industrial and power system electrician with NOC 72200, or you are a material handler with NOC 75101, or you are a plumber with NOC 72300, or you are a steam fitter, pipe fitter, or sprinkler system installer with NOC 72301, or you are a welder and related machine operator with NOC 72106, then of course you qualify under this. So you basically, in all these priority sectors, what they mean is that these are the jobs that they need you to qualify for before you can actually get to benefit from this program. Do you understand? Because from the Acadian, now this is just for one province, the Acadian Peninsula, you understand, they have listed 4 designated employers as at the time of the publishing of this article. So if you want to get a job, what they are saying is that you need to focus on these particular companies, these particular employers, these particular recruiters. or recruiting companies. Whether you will focus on, you understand, distillery Fils du Roi, Paquetteville, which I believe that will be in New Brunswick because they are the ones that are more French. Or two, you focus on Pinocchio Pizzeria Resto Bar. This is another, I believe this pizzeria should be one related to pizza, or you understand, or the bar that requires maybe like people that will be serving and things like that, or cooks. Or you focus on Subway Shippagan, Subway Shipper. These are companies you can just write their names on Google, create a Canadian styled resume, create a Canadian cover letter, and you understand, send your resume, send your application, even go on LinkedIn for those that want to actually learn how to, you understand, get qualified and how to get jobs overseas. You understand, from Canada, you can always go on our website, aosacademy.com. You understand, and the career abroad package. You can sign up to our career abroad package where you learn how to actually, you understand, qualify for many of these jobs. So what I'm saying in essence is these are companies that they stated that you need to what, you need to actually be qualified, you need to get jobs from before you can qualify for the program. Okay, welcome Mrs. Folashade Oladimeji from Lagos. Thank you very much for joining us. So Tim Hortons is another company. Tim Hortons in Neguac is another company that you can actually get qualified. You can actually get a job for to get qualified for this program. Now, that is just one province, the province of New Brunswick, especially in that region, the Acadian Peninsula region. You understand, in New Brunswick. Now, apart from that particular region, the other region that they said I've also stated the occupations that you need, the priority sectors and the companies that are currently recruiting is Saint Pierre Jolis in Manitoba. You understand? Many people know about the province of Manitoba. Now, the village of Saint Pierre Jolis is located approximately 50 kilometers southeast from Winnipeg. And you know, Winnipeg is the capital city of Manitoba. You understand? And its boundaries for the FCIP can be viewed here. Now, these ones, them too, they have their own criteria. And what is their own criteria? They said for those that are looking for jobs in their own province, in their own particular region, the priority sectors that you should focus on in getting jobs is, yes, just like the business, finance, and administration, similar to the first, but their own occupations are limited. The priority occupations they want you to get a job in is, you understand, the financial advisors with NOC 11102, or general office support workers, NOC 14100. Do you understand? Now, number two is the priority sector in education, law, and social, community, and government sectors. In other words, the occupations they need you to get jobs in is early childhood educators and assistants with NOC 42202, or elementary and secondary school teacher assistants with NOC 43100, or elementary school and kindergarten teachers with NOC 41221, or secondary school teachers with NOC 41220. These are jobs that they are in demand, because they cannot just give you all these priority occupations without making sure that they are in demand. They are in demand. So if you have the skills, if you have the experience, if you have the knowledge, the aptitude, the abilities to actually serve in this company, the beauty of some of these pilot programs is that when you are coming into Canada, you are not just coming into Canada like how we came into Canada with PMP. I remember the way we came into Canada. Even though, yes, I said I was in tech, I was a web developer, a web designer, I was, you understand, I was selected based on the basis that, yes, I was in IT. The truth is, a job was not waiting for me. You understand? When I came into Canada, I had to start afresh. You understand? I had to look for jobs, even though I did not focus on looking for jobs. I focused on starting my own business. You understand? Because, of course, I've said it many times in this live session, I was a business person right from Nigeria. So it just clicked on me to just start a business when I landed. But the beauty of these pilot programs is that you would have already gotten a job first. Do you understand? You would have already gotten a job first before you actually land in Canada. You understand? So once you just land, you get started working and you get started making your money. Oh, Mrs. Folashade Oladimeji said you didn't indicate on the group that you are live. Oh, apologies. So sorry, ma. I think we were sending notifications. Yes, for those who are not on our group, like our clientele. We're sending notifications actually that 1 hour to go, but I forgot to state that we are live right now. So let me just put that. Let me put that on the group. Apologies for that. I didn't even remember that. I thought I had done that. So if you're on a client group, you understand, we always send reminders to let them know that we are live so that they can join us. So please, I've just done that right now. Apologies for that. You can, and the beauty of this is, our live sessions and our they're always recorded. So even though many people were not able to join as we started, they can always watch later on and you understand, get access to this discussion. Now, moving on, we're talking about the region of Manitoba, St. Pierre Jolis. If you are looking for jobs in one of the priority sectors like healthcare, you have to look for jobs as a nurse practitioner with NOC 31302 in this region, or other assistant occupations in support of health services with NOC 33109, or registered nurses and registered psychiatric nurses with NOC 31301, or veterinarians, people that are in charge of animals, with NOC 31103. I remember, in fact, I still went to the airport yesterday and I was privileged to go and pick one of our clientele. Actually, it was not PR. They didn't come in through PR. They came in through visiting, through visitor visa. So, and these are some of the occupations. These are some, though they came to Ontario, you understand, they didn't go to Manitoba or New Brunswick or, you understand, British Columbia. But these are some of the occupations that some of the people we went to, there were two of them and with their child, you understand, like a family, basically. So these are some of the occupations they are really looking to actually go into. Whether you are in Canada or you are outside of Canada, you understand, you can actually get started with focusing on some of these occupations. So that, for instance, in the sales and services sector, if you are a baker with NOC 6302 202, you can also qualify. If you're a bartender with NOC 64301, and these are some of the occupations that you don't really need bachelor's degree, master's degree, you understand, to do. If you create a very good Canadian style resume, you understand, you network with people on LinkedIn that are in those companies that we are going to mention. If you show that you have gotten some years or months of experience, you can actually get opportunities to get these jobs and be able to use that company as a leverage to actually get your permanent residence in Canada, whether you are in Canada already or you're outside of Canada. If you are a cook as well with NOC 63200, you can also qualify, or you are a customer service representative in financial institutions, maybe like insurance companies, with NOC 64400, you also stand a chance. If you are a food counter attendant, a kitchen helper, and a related support occupation practitioner with NOC 65201, you also stand a fair chance. If you are an insurance agent and broker, I remember there's one of our clients that we talked about being an insurance agent, he's into finance, and I said one of the ways you can come into Canada easily, not only for even all these pilot programs, but also for the express entry category based jobs, is being an insurance agent or broker. You can actually, there's one of our clients right now that is currently a student in Canada. You understand, she has actually even finished her own schooling. She has gone into getting a postgraduate work permit right now, and she came to have a live what they call it, a consultation session with me the other day, and we're talking about some of the pathways she can, because she already has an ICANN, you understand, ACCA, she's pursuing that, and she's someone that actually qualifies even above being an insurance agent. But because insurance agents and brokers is where she has experience, apart from being a chartered accountant, she can actually qualify very well for this. You understand? And of course, she's already looking for a job with a postgraduate work permit. So the idea is, if she's able to get a job, even if she's not in Ontario, even if she didn't get a job in Ontario, if she gets a job in Manitoba, she can easily move down there, you understand, and actually start working to be able to gain experience, or even use the job offer she was able to get, you understand, to pursue a permanent residency pathway. So NOC 63100 is another good one you can use as an insurance agent or broker. Also, light duty cleaners. Imagine cleaners. If you can just clean, you can just sweep, you can, you understand, tidy up your room and everything, you can get your permanent residence by virtue of what? By virtue of your skills and experience with NOC 65311 Now, the last sector under this St. Pierre Jolis region of Manitoba is the trades, transport, equipment operators, and related occupations. If you are an automotive service technician, a truck and bus mechanic, and a mechanical repairer, you understand, with NOC 72410, you stand a very good chance. If you're a carpenter, imagine carpenter was in the first region, is also in the second region. With NOC 72310, you also stand a fair chance. If you're a construction trades helper or you are a laborer with NOC 75110, there are a lot of people that have been doing construction laborer jobs from Nigeria or from other places that they have. If you come into Canada as well, you can use this to gain your permanent residency status. Do you understand? If you're an electrician, except being in the industrial and power system sector, with NOC 42200, you also stand a fair chance. If you're a plumber with NOC 72300, you also stand a fair chance. And lastly, if you're a welder and related machine operator with NOC 72106, you also stand a very good chance. Now, the community has not announced any designated employers at the time of the publishing. So they have not announced the employers that they are going to be focusing on. But you can start building your resume. You understand? You can start building your cover letters to make sure that when they are announced, you are going to be one of the first people that would actually send in your application, your job application, to get that opportunity. Now, the last region, the region of Kelowna in British Columbia, is another good region that is currently requiring people to actually come into the province, you understand, by virtue of the what? By virtue of their job offers. So, and one of the primary priority sector is sales and service occupations. In other words, if you are a baker with NOC 63202, or if you are a cleaning supervisor, okay, you are not a cleaner, but you are a cleaning supervisor with NOC 62024. You can supervise people that are cleaning. You also stand a very good chance. Do you understand? If you are a cook with NOC 63200, you can also get invited. You understand? If you are a corporate sales manager, okay, your own skill is that you can manage people in the sales sector. With NOC 60010, you stand a very good chance. If you are a food and beverage server, you understand, with NOC 65200, especially in, you understand, the bars and places like that, or restaurants and places like, you stand a very good chance of getting employed. If you are a food service supervisor with NOC 62020, you also stand a fair chance. If you are a hotel front desk clerks with NOC 64314, you stand a very good chance. If you are a light duty cleaner with NOC 65310, you stand a very good chance. If you are part of the other customer and information services representatives with NOC 64409, you stand a fair chance. If you are a retail sales supervisor with NOC 621010, you also stand a very good chance. Do you understand? Now, also, under the trades, transport, and equipment operators and related occupations, if you are an automotive service technician and a truck and bus mechanic or a mechanical repairer, you know how to repair buses, how to repair cars and buses, with NOC 72410, you stand a fair. If you are a carpenter, you see, carpenters has also been coming in. It has also been coming in many of these regions. With NOC 72310, you stand a fair chance. If you are a construction trades helper and a laborer with NOC 75110, you stand a fair chance. If you are an electrician, except the industrial and power system, with NOC 72200, you stand a fair. If you are a plasterer, a drywall installer, and a finisher or ladders with NOC 73102, you stand a fair chance. If you are a roofer or shringlers with NOC 73110, you also stand a fair chance of, you understand, getting a job in Kelowna, British Columbia. Okay, Doyin is asking again that, is it possible for social workers, French speakers, to get PR without job offer? Yes, it is very possible for French speakers as social workers to get PR without a job offer. And that is why, you know, I was saying it when we started, that for instance, I didn't want to go through the job offer route because it's very difficult to get a job, especially when you're outside of Canada, or when you are even inside of Canada, but you don't have a work permit, or you don't have PR already, or you are not an international student. So I remember during my own time, I pursued programs that didn't require me to get a job in Canada. And there are a lot of programs you can pursue that doesn't require you to get a job offer in Canada. You understand? Express entry is one of it. Provincial nominee programs is one of it. Category-based draws is one of it. You understand? Quebec skilled worker program is one of it. You understand? So why would many people, especially if you cannot get the job offer, why would you focus on the one that requires job offer? Though today what we are talking about is the one that requires job offer, the Francophone community immigration pilot. But there are other French speaking programs that doesn't require you to have job offers. Number one, you understand, is the category based jobs, the one that centers on healthcare and social services occupations. That's the number one. That is a program under express entry that doesn't require you to get a job offer before they see your French knowledge and they actually see your social services skills or social or being a social worker. You understand? So far, you are able to show that yes, you have worked under social services before and you have experience to show for it. You have your credentials to show for it, your academic credentials. You have your language test results to show that yes, you are a French speaker and you have a very good result. You can get select. There are many of our clients. You understand? I talked about the last draw that they did. One of our clients, about 40 years, so even some people are even older. You know, some people always say, I'm only 45. Can they still pick me? Yes, they can pick you. You understand? Mr. Kenny, for instance, that got selected, he and his wife, Mrs. Chinyere, that got selected, they were above 45 and they still got selected. I think the wife was 46 and the man was like 51. Do you understand? They got selected as French speakers to come into Canada. Actually, the husband was still in Nigeria, but the wife is already in Canada as an international student. And the wife got selected, and with that, she was able to bring in her husband and her child, or her children rather. So, what I'm saying in essence is it's possible if you have a French skill, you understand, if you are a social worker or even any worker, because when you have French, your occupation sometimes doesn't even matter. It's the truth. Before, when we were working on our permanent residency, I remember when I was working on the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, you understand, under PMPs, my occupation mattered, you understand, because I had to be in tech and have French skills before they could select me, you understand. But right now, especially under the category-based selection of express entry, your occupation, when you have French, it is above other occupations. You can be a cleaner, you can be any goddamn thing. So far that French is there, you get a higher chance of getting selected. Do you understand? And of course, Quebec skilled worker program for the province of Quebec is another way you can get selected with your French proficiency, you understand, to be able to come into Canada either as a social worker or anything. So I hope that answers. I've given you 3 options or 4 options: express entry, category-based jobs, provincial nominee program, and what? And Quebec skilled work. Those are programs that requires you to get French knowledge, but not necessarily to have a job offer before you can get selected in through them. I hope that answers the question. Now, still under Kelowna region of British Columbia, one of the priority sector is the occupations in education, law, social community, and government services. So if you are an early childhood educator or an assistant with NOC 42202, you can also get selected. If you are an elementary and secondary school teacher assistant with NOC 43100, you can also get selected. If you are a social and community service worker with NOC 42201 and you get a job on that line, you can also get selected. If you're an home support worker, caregiver, and related occupations with NOC 44101, you can also get selected in this niche. Now, under the health occupations as well, if you're a nurse aide or orderlies and patient service associates, you can also get selected with NOC 33102. If you are also part of the other assisting occupations in support of health services with NOC 33109, you can also get selected. If you're a veterinarian with NOC 31103, you can also get selected. And lastly, under the last priority sector, the natural and applied sciences and related occupations, if you are into forestry technologists or you are a forestry technician with NOC 221112, you can also get selected under Kelowna region of British Columbia. So Kelowna has only announced 2 designated employers at the time of publishing of this article. You understand? Just 2 basic employers. The Dutch Kelowna and 2 London Drugs Kelowna. Those are the 2. So one of the ways you may be asking, how can I get jobs through these companies? You can just click on it, or you can just type their names the Dutch Kelowna. Type it on Google, go on their company website, look for the career section, you understand, on their company website, and try to build your Canadian style resume, try to build your what? Try to build your what do you call it, your Canadian cover letter. You understand? And start applying. But just like I do always tell people, don't just apply online and think that is all. You understand? Make use of LinkedIn. This is free platforms to actually, you understand, build your what? To build your um networking with those that are already even working there. You understand? Try to show your expertise. I've said things in details about how to get jobs. You understand? You can go on our website, Career Abroad Training Package. You understand? Go on the link that we shared right now, especially if you're on YouTube, to also learn how to use Canadian style resume, how to use, you understand, how to draft cover letters, how to show your expertise basically to be able to get jobs. And of course, if you are part of our clientele and you want us to assist you with actually working on that, just also reach out to us on our what do you call it, on our clients groups on WhatsApp, you understand, or reach out to me personally, and we can actually get started with that. And lastly, don't forget that it's not only about getting a job, but it's about showing that you are really prepared. You are permanent residency prepared. How are you going to be permanent residency prepared? All the other documentations, all the other requirements, do you have them? Do you understand? Do you have them? Are you ready? So that when they call you, when you get the opportunity right now, are you prepared to actually get that status? So you may be also asking, what is the significance of priority sectors and occupations and designated employers? You have to note only the employers operating in at least one of these sectors and hiring in a priority occupation are able to become designated employers for the FCIP, for the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot. So if you go and get a job offer from another company, or in another priority, in another sector that is not a priority, or in another occupation that is not in demand, you will still not qualify, even though you get the job offer. You understand? So foreign nationals, you need to have a job offer from a designated employer to be recommended for the what? For the FCIP, the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot by the community. Now, after they have received the community recommendation, you understand, that company, once they have received the community recommendation, the foreign national can directly apply to the federal government of Canada for their own permanent residency. So, and as a client, as a foreign national, you may also be eligible for a 2-year work permit. You understand? Because sometimes permanent residency may take time, it may take long. You understand? So while you are waiting, the company can say, okay, you should come into Canada first, start working for a duration of 2 years through the work permit. You understand? While your permanent residency application is being processed. Do you understand? So that will give you opportunity to start working, start making money in Canada, start settling down in Canada before your permanent residency application actually gets approved. Do you understand? Now, which other communities are participating in the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot? In total, there are 6 communities that have been chosen to participate in the FCIP. Apart from the 3 mentioned above, these communities are: 1, Sudbury, which is this community has unveiled its priority streams, occupations, and designated employers. Timmins, Sudbury is in Ontario. Timmins is also in Ontario. This community has also unveiled their own priority sectors and occupations and designated employer. Likewise, the Superior East region is also a community yet to launch their own FCIP website as of the time of this publishing of the article. Now, what are the eligibility criteria for the FCIP? Because yes, a job offer, apart from having a job offer, you understand, that is in a priority sector or occupation, candidates also have to meet other requirements in order to be eligible for the what? For the FCIP. And these criteria include the following. Number 1 is work experience. Candidates must have at least 1 year, that's 1,560 hours of related work experience over the past 3 years. You understand? So for instance, if you are a carpenter, have you started working as a carpenter for at least 1 year before you actually apply for the job? You understand? Because this condition can be waived, though. It can be waived for international students who meet specific conditions. So for instance, if you're an international student in British Columbia or in New Brunswick, or you understand, in Manitoba, they may actually waive some of the work experience, because yes, that your education may serve as the work experience. You understand? Now, language proficiency. Candidates must be able to demonstrate knowledge of French by having a minimum score of NCLC 5 in all the four abilities, in compréhension écrite, compréhension orale, expression écrite, et expression orale, in speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And that's where we at A.O.S Abroad actually comes in play. We can actually assist to prepare you for language tests like TEF Canada, like TCF Canada, like test d'évaluation de français, like test de connaissance du français. You understand? We can help you to prepare for that. And 5, you just having NCLC 5 is very low compared to what you could have needed for express entry or for what? For provincial nominee programs. Now, education is another thing. They said you must have at least a secondary school level credential, whether be it a Canadian secondary school or the foreign equivalent, maybe like the WAEC, for instance, that we have in Nigeria, the West African Examination Council results. You understand? So it's very low. You don't need to have a bachelor's, you don't need to have a master's, you don't need to have a national what they call certificate in education, NC. You don't need to have a national diploma like ND or ordinary national diploma, OND. You don't need to have a higher national diploma like the HND. You understand? And of course, you have to have the necessary funds, because having the minimum settlement funds is required for you to be able to support yourself and to be able to support your what? Your family members for the profession, for the program. So with that, we come to the end of the analysis of these 3 regions that we mentioned for what? For Francophone Community Immigration Pilot Program, which is FCIP. The Acadian Peninsula in New Brunswick, the province of New Brunswick, St. Pierre Jolis, Manitoba, in the province of Manitoba, and Kelowna region in the province of what? In the province of British Columbia. So do you have any questions? We have had a question from Doing. Does anyone else have another question about this program, this pilot program? Now, before we go, I want to talk about the job seeking, because yes, there are 2 different programs actually: the Rural Community Immigration Pilot Program and the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot Program. These are the 2 programs that were introduced early this year that people are now using to actually go into or come into Canada, or to apply into for permanent residency into Canada. And these 2 programs can actually give you 2-year work permits that you would actually get before you actually become qualified, or rather before you get approved of your permanent residency. So this is a 2-in-1 program. Basically, it's a 2-in-1 program in the sense that whilst you're waiting for your permanent residence, you get a work permit, and 2, you get to come into Canada first before the approval of your permanent residence. It's beautiful. It really works for a lot of people, because you will not just become a permanent resident like us that time, just like I said, that we had to come into Canada, but we didn't have a job waiting for us already. You understand? But under these programs, you would come into Canada and you would have a job already waiting for you. So as soon as you enter Canada, you would be able to start working immediately and be earning, making money, and be having fun, basically. So, for instance, we at A.O.S Abroad, just like many of you know, we have partnered with Kesri Immigration, who assists, is a licensed consultant, and their company actually assists our own clientele to get jobs in Canada, to be able to actually come into Canada to work, to be able to come into Canada to become permanent resident, and to have the opportunity to, you understand, assist themselves whilst they are actually waiting for their approval. So if you want any updates, or rather if you want them to assist you with anything, you can just reach out to us. You can go on our profile and click on the link over there. Once you click on the link, you would have access to our website. You can learn more about these programs and many more programs. Like Doyin, for instance, was asking that, can someone become a permanent resident in Canada as a social worker and as a French speaker without having a job offer? And I said, yes, absolutely. You can become a permanent resident without getting a job offer. That is how we, for instance, actually got a job. Came into Canada as permanent residents. So if you want to come into Canada as a permanent resident, you want to have the opportunity to stay here permanently, to stay here for life, if you so want, if you so wish. Go on our website, you understand? Click on the link on our website or on our profile and learn how you understand, we do it, and how we can actually assist you to work on your own on your own permanent residency to Canada. And if you want to actually book a consultation with us to talk to us about your own particular scenario, you can also click on the link and also book a clarity call with us to explain your own particular scenario and how we can actually assist you to work on your immigration to Canada. So thank you very much. If we don't have any questions, then don't forget, at least every week we come on live at least once every week. Do you understand? To talk about trending topics, to talk about things you need to know about pathways to Canada, especially centered for those that know, we are always centered on permanent residency. So if you want to learn more about um, those pathways for permanent residency visa, then click on the link and actually reach out to us for more details. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and also don't forget to join us from time to time to talk about some of these trending topics. So thank you very much, everyone, and do have a lovely day ahead. Bye for now.